Welcome, Jerry. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure being here, Ollie.
So, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your business?
Sure thing. So, my name is Gerardo Salandras, but good luck pronouncing that. I usually go for Jerry. And a little bit about my past. I started in Germany, worked in IBM, followed by Google, joined a startup in Austria. The startup got acquired, ended up in Hong Kong. Fun story, maybe for another day. And then ended up starting a company here. And we do provide chatbots to large enterprises. And we have a platform who can pretty much help them realize what they want to do.
Did you always have an interest in artificial intelligence?
So the truth is that yes, artificial intelligence is something that I always had at heart. I remember being 14 years old or so, and watching a documentary about it in Discovery Channel. I don't know if you still remember it. And I was with my dad, and I remember having this very deep conversation about where computers were at back then, and where they're gonna go, and what they're gonna become in our lives. And I remember at that time decided I would definitely want to do something with computers. Even though I always program on the side, I ended up studying business. So as soon as I finished my first degree in business, I went for IBM. And IBM, that was the time of Watson. And I remember talking to Watson for the first time. I was checking the technology, how it worked, and I was so disappointed. And I just thought to myself, wow, this is the leading artificial intelligence product in the world. And this is by far one of the most disappointing experiences I had. That actually made me realize that the opportunities was there, but it was also full of challenges. Moving at Google later on, I started realizing that artificial intelligence doesn't have to be all-powerful. It can actually just solve very specific small problems. And that's how you really get the real value and benefits of artificial intelligence, by going for narrow problems instead of trying to solve the entire thing. I stopped actually looking at artificial intelligence for a while until I was here in Hong Kong working at an artificial project with a bank. And that's the moment it hit me. We're approaching that time where artificial intelligence is finally useful enough to disrupt some industries. And I want a piece of the cake, so that's pretty much why I started RocketBots back then.
Wow. Okay, that's fascinating.
Sorry for a long story, though.
No, of course not. So, what would you say are the top skills that someone needs today to work in AI or to become an AI expert?
Okay, so first of all, being an AI expert is kind of a broad term because artificial intelligence is not like one specific topic, but it's a very generic umbrella. It's a large umbrella. So when you want to go into artificial intelligence, I always recommend to go for the T approach. Basically become very good at the fundamentals of all the different technologies of artificial intelligence, and then pick one of them and go very deep. Just to give you one example, there's people who specialize in computer vision. And that pretty much they study a little bit about how to build neural networks, how adversarial networks, chatbot, but then they grab computer visions and they go very deep into that, right? And that's the best approach towards. Now, what are the skills that they need? It's a little bit tricky to tell you specifically, but what I would tell, there's two things that you definitely need: discipline and curiosity. So discipline because, believe it or not, 80% of the time you will work with artificial intelligence is not fun. It's not fun at all. You're not really dealing with real problems or algorithms. It's cleaning data. It's really looking at the data and removing columns, checking formats, and that's actually quite boring part. So you need to have discipline to go through it. But your AI is just as good as your data. So if you don't really put effort into cleaning it up, you're not gonna get a great result.
I see.
And the other thing you should definitely have is curiosity. You should really look at the problem and probably not try to approach it in the way that you already know how to deal with a problem, but probably looking from different perspectives. Pick up a book, check about the old models or the new models, read about this OpenAI projects, and based on that, actually learn new ways to do it. Because in AI, what I identify is same as any other software. There's hundreds of ways to get to your objective. You don't have to program in a very specific way. But if you're not curious enough, you can actually start going very long runs for something you can achieve in very little effort.
I see. So there's a lot to know about in AI.
There's definitely a lot to know. A lot of aspects to cover.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that people shouldn't be intimidated by artificial intelligence. It really isn't this rocket science that it used to be. The truth is that when you're working with artificial intelligence, there's two sides of it: the people who build infrastructure and the people who build applications. And building infrastructure, yes, you do need to be some sort of mathematician to get into it, because that's the people who really have a PhDs or these brilliant minds who sit down and create new models that have never invented before.
Right.
But most of the people working in AI are not doing that. They look at models that have already been built, they give a different set of data, and they put a new problem. Yeah, there's this company in Hong Kong which is specializing on, marathon and beat recognition software. Yeah, they're not reinventing the wheel. They're using models that they're already been created, but they put it to a new problem that wasn't addressed before, and that's how they actually create an artificial intelligence startup.
What are the biggest trends in AI that we should be prepared for? The next ones, what's coming?
Now, again, you probably think I like talking too much, but a little bit of background first. Artificial intelligence comes in waves. It has been coming in waves since pretty much the first Turing machine was invented. That was roughly 50, 60 years ago. And what really happens is that every time everyone talks about artificial intelligence, the expectations get too high. And everyone wants to buy it, and everyone wants to learn more about it. And we call that a summer of AI. Immediately after they realized, wait, the technology is not quite where I thought it would be, people stopped talking about it for a couple of years, and that's what we call a winter. And to this point, we have seen 4 to 5 winters. And right now, we're actually in this stage where AI is very hot again. And we're talking a lot about artificial intelligence. But you'd be surprised how many people I still meet who has these completely realistic expectations. They think that AI is a magic box that you can put to anything and it will work. So basically, that's what's going on in the field of artificial intelligence. Now, the trends that you see actually coming up a lot, I call this the plus AI business model. Basically, as I mentioned before, AI is becoming like vastly available. So what you're going to see is that a lot of startups are just going to grab a problem that's already being solved by someone else and add AI to it. Yeah. So you will see Uber plus AI, Airbnb plus AI. That we are in that plus AI business model war nowadays. And some companies actually take it too far. So I start seeing a trailer of a toothbrush plus AI, and that's where people need to start going back to the drawing board and realize, is AI something really you want to put on anything?
That's a bit far-fetched. Yeah.
Happens though.
Yeah.
Same as with blockchain, I think, but that's another topic.
Yeah, that's for another podcast.
That's for another podcast.
So speaking more about entrepreneurship, what are 3 things an entrepreneur like you, like a young entrepreneur like you, needs to succeed?
Okay, there are 3 things. That's kind of hard to narrow in 3, but I'll say for one thing, you need to be flexible. In this entrepreneurship world, we call it pivot. Like more often than not, the initial idea you will be born with is not going to work. Yeah, you're going to have this idea that you're going to create this product and launch it to market and everyone's going to love it. And along the way, you realize that you were wrong. The assumptions you used to make up that decision were wrong. And even though they make complete sense at that time, you realize, damn it, I have to change. And it's up to you to look about the resources you already built and how can you change to deal with a new problem or look at the product from a different perspective. So being flexible is incredibly important for being an entrepreneur. Actually, there's several studies that show that the reason that startups still can fight against companies like IBM and Google is because they're just more flexible.
I see.
The other thing that I would definitely tell to entrepreneurs is they need to know how to control themselves and have self-discipline. When you start a business, they usually are born out of passion. You know, you look at this problem and you really want to get started, and all your friends are talking about starting a new business, but they never dare to do it. So you say, no, I'm going to be different. And you have this huge passion and you want to just go and change the world. But here's the problem. Having a company is like, I don't want to go too far, but it's like getting married. The passion doesn't last forever. Yeah, there's these moments after some very hard times because having a company is incredibly hard. There'll be a time where things are not working, deals are gonna fade away, you're gonna lose clients, and at that time it's incredibly hard to still have passion.
Of course.
So you need that self-discipline to wake up in the morning and go to work and smile to everyone in your team as you're still as passionate about the product as you have ever been. Because as soon as you show other people that you're lacking off or you stop caring about the business, they will all lose it. And that's something I think is very important.
Okay.
I only mentioned 2.
Yes.
That's fine?
Okay.
Excellent.
That's good. And last question: what do you wish you could tell your younger self?
I don't know what I would tell my younger self. I guess I would just tell them to it's fine to make mistakes. Don't take it too harsh. Don't take it too personal when things don't work out your own way. That's part of the growing process, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, as long as you learn from your mistake and you actually can stand up again and become a stronger person, then you shouldn't really be worrying. You should be losing nights of sleep because of that.
Okay.
I guess that's what I will tell my younger self.
That's nice.
And I should tell my current self as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's timeless.
Timeless advice, I
Timeless
guess.
advice. Yeah, exactly. Okay, and last question. Do you like the term artificial intelligence, or do you prefer augmented intelligence? Because we're hearing more and more about augmented intelligence. What do you think?
I guess both of them refer to very different things. There's of course this area of common share practice, but augmented intelligence pretty much is referring to I won't be trying to replace humans. I'll be trying to create a product or a service that augments their capacity. While artificial intelligence is this different field of study who studies how to replace them altogether. I just feel that one doesn't come without the other. Right? The way in the next 5 years, we're really going to see how AI has an augmenting role in all organizations. But I worry that within 10 years, we're going to start seeing the artificial intelligence actually replacing us in many, many fields. And yeah, so I don't mind any of those topics. In fact, I don't like AI in general simply because it's too abstract. Mm-hmm. And I see people just talking, hey, just add some AI to it. That means nothing.
Just add some little
just add some. Yeah. In fact, I can tell you a last story.
Sure.
I met a senior executive at one of the largest telecoms in Hong Kong, and that was at the earliest time of the startup. And I remember he called us, and his email was already special. We need to talk. I heard you sell AI, and I absolutely loved that email. So we went to meet him in where was it? I think it was in Taiko Place, and we went to this very fancy office in the last floor of a large building. I'm really trying to avoid mentioning as much as I can. And this guy literally said, "Jerry, I heard you sell some AI." I was like, "Yeah, that's indeed kind of true." And it's like, "Okay, perfect. So sell me some of that AI everyone's talking about." And at that moment, I just realized, okay, this guy really has no idea what he's talking about. And I was so tempted to say, sure, I'll buy you how many pounds of AI do you want? Buy one AI, get one free.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but that actually, that reflects very well the state of artificial intelligence in Hong Kong and the real understanding companies have. They it cannot identify where the value is.
I see. So the term is very attractive like that, but they don't actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah, very likely. And again, blockchain a lot these days.
Yeah, true. Okay, thank you so much, Gerardo.
Thanks so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. Stay tuned.